1448 AD, 5342 AM. The Vatican Apostolic Library was founded by Pope Nicolaus V when he brought together earlier papal collections of books in Greek, Arabic, Latin and Hebrew with his own extensive library. The library was begun with 80,000 handwritten texts and quickly grew to over 1 million books. King Louis XI of France ruled at this time, to 1465, and was known as the Spider King because of the elaborate plots and webs he wove against his enemies. A certain court astrologer predicted that a lady of the court he named would die in 8 days, and as predicted, she died. King Louis was terrified and had the astrologer summoned after instructing his guards to await his signal before throwing the astrologer to his death off the top of the tower. When the astrologer arrived, the king asked how long did he think he himself would live. Perceiving the trap, the astrologer replied sagely, quote, "I shall die just 3 days before your majesty," unquote. Upon hearing this, King Louis decided not to kill the astrologer. 1. Journey into the mythical past. 2. 33 strategies of war. 3. The 48 laws of power. 1450 AD, 5344 AM. Pope Benedict XIII declared, quote, "The heresies, the vanities and errors of the Talmud prevent the Jews from knowing the truth," unquote. Some time prior to him, Pope Gregory IX had written that the Talmud contained, quote, "every kind of vileness and blasphemy against Christian doctrine," unquote. 1. Jewish supremacism. 1453 AD, 5347 AM. In the Battle of Castillon, the French defeated the English and the English lost virtually all of their holdings in France. On May 29th, the Turks captured Constantinople, ending the Byzantine power. The decisive weapon that altered the history of warfare was turned down by the Europeans, who refused to invest in the gigantic cannon that a merchant had offered them. But the cannon was bought by Turkish ruler Mehmed II, known as the Conqueror, son of Murad II. The fall of Constantinople was preceded by strange omens and unusual red lights floating over St. Sophia's Cathedral that even alarmed the Turks outside the city. There was said to be an eclipse of the sun, a terrible thunderstorm and torrential rain followed by thick fog. The siege was the first true modern use of artillery in history. Constantinople was a reflection of the older city of Rome. Rome both began and ended with its first rulers named Romulus, 753 BC and 476 AD, and Constantinople began with Constantine the Great and ended in 1453 AD with Constantine XIII, who fought to the death. Rome was founded in 753 BC, 476 years after their Trojan forefathers lost the Trojan War in 1229 BC, and Rome fell to the 10 kingdoms of Germans in 476 AD. Interestingly, exactly 476 years after the fall of Constantinople is 1929 AD, when Vatican City within Rome became an independent state within Italy. The same year the Piri-Reis map was discovered in the palace of the Sultan of Constantinople, which was originally drawn in 1513 by a Turkish navigator and depicts the shores and hinterlands of South America and Antarctica prior to the 2-mile-high ice sheet. The 100 Years' War between Britain and France ends after 116 years. Also in this year, Gutenberg prints the first Bible, and the Swiss alchemist philosopher Paracelsus is born. 1. History in quotations. 2. Wars that changed the world. 1455 AD, 5349 AM. The Wars of the Roses began in England between the rival houses of York and Lancaster, their contention over the throne erupting into civil war for 30 years until 1485. 1456 AD, 5350 AM. Antonion Bonfini and others left records of an unusual comet half as long as the sky that exhibited 2 tails of a golden colour like flames. Evidence that this was Halley's comet is found in that it travelled a retrograde orbit, like Halley's, and is the right time for the 75.7 orbital cycle of Halley's. 1. Introduction to comets. 1458 AD, 5352 AM. At 96 years old, born 1362, a Jewish mystic named Abraham, son of Simon, wrote the Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin, the Mage, a most fascinating compendium of knowledge on the control over spirits and demons. A magical treatise allegedly passed down from an old sage in Egypt named Abramelin. After journeying through Germany, Bohemia, Austria, Hungary, France and Greece to Constantinople, pre-1453, on through the Holy Land and Arabian desert, Abraham found Abramelin in Egypt. Quote, "Who was he who declared unto me the secret, and opened unto me the fountain and true source of the sacred mysteries and of the veritable and ancient magic which God had given unto our forefathers," unquote. 1. The Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. 1459 AD, 53:53 AM. Vlad Dracul, who we know as Dracula, had 30,000 merchants and others impaled in Brasov, Transylvania. This horrific method ensured a very excruciating death, taking a long time to die as the weight of the body slowly slid down a wooden stake pole that penetrated the vagina or anus, and sometimes below the rib cage. This earned him the name Vlad the Impaler. This mass impalement occurred on St. Bartholomew's Day. The house of Dracul traced their ancestry back to Attila the Hun and the sons of Genghis Khan. 1. The Dragon Legacy.